Hello, my name is Steve Edelstein and I'm a tour guide for the Ohio Statehouse. Today we're standing in front of the Ohio Holocaust and Liberators Memorial on the south lawn of the Statehouse. It's June and we are commemorating the 4th anniversary of the memorial's dedication. First, a little general history. Beginning in the late 18th century, Jews had begun to be integrated into European society. There was continuing virulent anti-Semitism in Russia and an anti-Semitic undertone in Central and even Western Europe. However, in Germany, Austria, and elsewhere, Jews occupied significant positions in commerce, industry, culture, and in some places even government. Jews served valiantly in the military during World War I on all sides, and despite significant losses and deprivation from that war, some felt a measure of security. Germany itself was made to pay dearly as a result of the First World War, which ended 100 years ago this November. The victorious Allies imposed reparations and restrictions on Germany's industry and military. Serious economic setbacks and even revolution characterized the 1920s and destabilized the government. Adolf Hitler and his National Socialist or Nazi Party rose to power with an ideology that assigned many of Germany's problems to the Jews and eventually led to what he called the solution of the Jewish problem before and during World War II. This began by first marginalizing the Jews, depriving them of certain rights, including banning them from schools, the professions, and eventually even public parks. The Nazis then established concentration camps for the Jews and others, characterized by slave labor, torture, and ultimately extinction. Some 6 million Jews were put to death by execution squads and then gas chambers. This evil regime of the Nazis didn't only target Jews. As noted on the stone wall of our memorial, it also targeted prisoners of war, ethnic and religious minorities other than just Jews, Freemasons, homosexuals, the mentally ill, developmentally disadvantaged, and political dissidents. Anyone who was viewed as a threat by the government or its racist philosophy could end up in a concentration camp. In all, some 11 million people died as a result. That's the entire population of Ohio. In 2011, right here, a Holocaust survivor from Canton spoke at the annual Governor's Holocaust commemoration in the Statehouse. Her moving story was followed by an address by Ohio Governor John Kasich. The governor was deeply affected by the day's program and ended his speech by calling for the construction of a memorial that would remember those lost in the Holocaust, survivors of the Holocaust, but just as importantly, the role which Ohio soldiers played in ending that war and liberating those enslaved by the Nazis. There were controversies related to the construction of the memorial regarding both process and design. However, the legislature overwhelmingly supported the governor's position that a memorial such as this had a place here. The memorial itself was a first of its kind, in terms of anything like it on the grounds of a state capitol building. But when you're here, you need to look around at the context. On the east side of the building, there is a tribute to Ohio soldiers who wrote letters home during all the major wars of the last century. Elsewhere on the grounds are tributes to Ohio's soldiers in the Civil War, a Spanish-American war soldier, a World War I doughboy. Inside of the building are references throughout to those who helped keep us free. Benjamin O. Davis, head of the Tuskegee Airmen in World War II, and the first African-American general. Columbus native Eddie Rickenbacker, World War I flying ace. Congressional Medal winners, a memorial to those missing in action. Isn't it just as appropriate to recognize what Ohio did to liberate the victims of Nazi oppression, and to understand the sacrifices which are often required to protect our democracy and the rights of others? Some 839,000 Ohioans served in the armed forces during World War II. That's 12% of the state's population at that time. 23,000 Ohioans died or were missing in action. For all the terrible aspects of war, for Americans, aren't these memorials, all of them, what it's all about? Now to the memorial itself. It's bronze, supported by steel, limestone, and granite. It's 18 feet high, and I'm not sure it was intentional, but in the Hebrew alphabet, 18 is the equivalent of the word chai, which means life. The architect chosen to design the memorial was Daniel Liebeskind, a child of Holocaust survivors, a graduate of Ohio State's architecture school, but also the designer of the new World Trade Center, which rose to replace the Twin Towers in New York, destroyed by terrorists on September 11th, on 9/11. The Star of David frames the Statehouse from its south side and is symbolically broken in half to show the effects of the Holocaust. Finally, there is a poignant story of a teenage survivor and his immortal heroism in saving the life of his cousin as an inscription on the memorial itself. The late Joyce Garver Keller, director of the organization known as the Ohio Jewish Communities, worked tirelessly with Governor Kasich and his administration on the project. And over 50 organizations, private organizations, philanthropists, and Jewish federations financially provided for its construction. The Ohio Holocaust and Liberators Memorial, a truly unique expression of how bravery and freedom can survive and outlast the forces of evil. On behalf of the Ohio Statehouse, thank you for your attention.